Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of my HTML series, and today I'll be showing you how to use text on the page. And since we want text on the page, not it means it has to be visible, we have to put every part of the code inside of the body. So let's start with the titles, technically, not title in this case of the title tag, but the h1 to h6 tag. So it goes all the way. Oh, this is kind of annoying. Why can't I? Okay, there we go. And we do it like this. And this is just gonna be to showcase you the difference between the titles. So these are different sizes of titles, and I'll put it title here. Oh, title here. This is gonna be the most annoying part. Filling in all of these real quick. Okay, there you have it. And then press Ctrl S to save, and we can see how the title becomes smaller and smaller. And this will result in the usage of the higher numbers to be like none. I think most of my developing on the web ever, I have never used the h6 tag, I've never used the h5 tag, I've never used the h4 tag. I might have used h3 like sometime, but if we use the paragraph tag, which is the one you want to use if you want to write like solid sentences, like this is a solid sentence much longer than just a quick title. There we go. And we save that. This is the size of a normal paragraph, and let's just change the size in CSS later on. But as you can see, it's basically the same. The difference is that this is bolder than this. This is just a normal text. But size-wise, it's almost like the H4, maybe. It's almost the same size as H4. So if you use the H3 title next to a text tag or a paragraph tag, you're actually not gonna see that it's like a title most of the time. So you kind of want the title to be bigger than the text you have, and that's why I never really use anything at least below H3. H3 is like the you could use this, but it's still kind of close. But you can use all of these, of course, but most of the time you would not want to pick any of them, to be fair. So that's just how it is. And then, like I said before, we have the paragraph tag right here, which is where you put like full paragraphs, and you can change the size later on outside of HTML. HTML is just adding the things on the screen, not designing anything at all. But we also have something else in text form. If you want to make a list items, you can use a UL or a OL. And the difference is the UL is going to list the items below each other, and it's going to have a bullet point list. So will have a like dot in front of each one, while the ordered list, which you can have for the name, is ordered. It's going to have 1, 2, and 3 instead. And to add an item inside of a list, you need to add a list item. So let's, for example, have Netflix. Let's have another list item in this one as via play, and then let's add another one in here as YouTube. And when we update this, we're gonna see that we have a bullet point list because we added it in our unordered list, which means bullet point. And if we copy and paste this inside of our instead ordered list, we're actually gonna have a 1, 2, 3 in front of our list to show them in order by number. So that's the difference between the lists. Later on in the CSS, not in HTML. HTML is just the bare bones of a website. There's no styling or nothing really. I mean, there's a small few styling options, but most of it is in CSS. For example, you can remove the anything in front of the list at all and just have it a list and no number, no bullet point or anything. That's often how you make like a menu. You put it in a list and then you just flip. So maybe if you want to have them on the as a row or a column, you can do whatever you want, but you don't necessarily have to have the indications of a list. but it's just more to be organized at that point. So it's still important to know how to use lists. And then there's a few, these are all like the normal tags of adding text to your website. But there is a few things you might want to know as well. This is mostly to make your website more accessible for people that, for example, want to listen to the website or something like that. It doesn't really, you could do most of this in CSS. You could design these in CSS, but there's a big difference because if you, the CSS is full styling, it cannot be read off the site by someone listening to it. So if you want to make this Netflix more important than the other ones when it's read out loud, you can use the strong. Oh, I misspelled it. There we go. And we just put this tag inside of the other tag. We nest it inside of it because the tag we open first we want to end last. And then we can put another tag that closes inside of it, and when we update we can see that our text actually gets bold. And also when you put a reader that reads everything on the website out, it's gonna put a stronger, like, make it sound a bit stronger than more important than everything else on the website. Then you can also emphasize things, which is kind of similar but not really, and then you can put it the same way, and you can see that it's gonna go more into the italic kind of style, which is another way you can use it on text. And then we also have code. This is gonna make it, instead of, it's just gonna make it so if there is something on the website to translate, it's not actually gonna translate. So if you have YouTube here, it's gonna turn into a code style. It's a bit different, and also it's not gonna get read out or translated. I mean, it's gonna get read out, but it's not gonna get translated because it's in coding terms, which is kind of standardized for every different language, so it doesn't need to be translated. In some cases, it might even become very confusing if suddenly they start programming in your own language. So that's how we make it not translate code if someone is listening to it. Then you can also use mark. And if we put it on the Netflix tag in the other list, we can see that it gets marked by like a marked pen, a yellow one, to, yeah, like point things out in the text. And that's all the text things I would recommend knowing in HTML, because you don't really want to go too deep into stylizing this stuff and things like that. This is more for accessibility, these secondary tags. The rest I would recommend doing in CSS because it's just meant for styling, so why wouldn't you use it to style everything? It's just more confusing if you mix them together. You could technically style in HTML a bit until you knew CSS, but moving over is kind of bad then because you have a mixture and it doesn't really work. So these are the only tags I would actually use when making a website out of text. But that's all for this video. In the next video, I'll be showing you how to handle links and images. And that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.